UGE Unimog in here, and we're talking about why that is the most capable four-wheel drive truck on the market. Today we have the UGE Unimog. So this is the implement carrier version. That's the extreme off-roader. This one is your implement carrier. So a lot of people call it the baby brother to the UHE. That's actually not the case. This one comes in smaller sizes than the UHE and also much bigger sizes. So specifically, this one behind me is pretty much the biggest you can get. So we've got the U530, so 5 being the biggest option, and then this one is also a 4.5 meter wheelbase. So with our wheelbases of these ones, we can go everything from 2.8 meters to 4.5, and there's quite a few different options in between there. So a 3.6, 3.9, 4.2 and 4.5. So you've got lots to choose from, whereas the UHE, you've just got that stock standard one size fits all of the 3.85 meter wheelbase. So let's get into it. We'll have a chat about why this one is a better option than the other similar sized vehicles of their range. More clearance, bigger tyres, all of the good stuff, and especially how diverse they are. So over in Europe, where the Unimog is born and bred, this one is by far the most popular one. When we tell Mercedes head office that in Australia the UHE, so your extreme full drive option, is what is everywhere in Australia and the most popular, they just go, what, why aren't you selling more of these ones? And that's because they're using it for absolutely everything. So if you've got a big task to do, the Unimog is generally the tool to use. So they've got it for their municipal, they've got it for agriculture, airports, pretty much anything that you can think of, you name it. And then also we over here, we do have some of those applications that they're being used for. So we've got a few in road rail, they're even getting used in fire. But we also do like them for a number of reasons with our Global Explorer bodies. So we'll talk about Vario Pilot in a minute, but being able to move from right-hand drive to left-hand drive really does make it your international Explorer, because you're not just limited to right-hand drive countries, you can obviously then go to left-hand drive as well. So we'll talk a bit more about that later on in the video. But yeah, they are really, really used for anything that you put your mind to. So as I mentioned, this specific vehicle is a U530. As you can see here. With all Unimogs, the last two numbers actually do mean something. The first one's not so much. I could be wrong, Mercedes will probably say it does mean this, Tiani, but oh well. But the last two numbers, so this one is specifically a 300 horsepower. So if you put another 0 on the end, you've got a 300 horsepower. This one is a 6-cylinder engine. We can also go one bigger, being a 355 horsepower, but then our smaller Unimogs, so our 219 in that smaller era, they are 190 horsepower and they're a 4-cylinder. So we do have a lot more range in the UGE Unimog, just depending on how much power you're wanting, how much weight you're wanting to carry, your use of it, all of that stuff. We are also, as I said before, in front of a 4.5 meter wheelbase. So if you did have an implement or bigger items that you're wanting to carry, this would be a really good option for you. This one specifically is going to be fitted with a hook lift. So you can just imagine the type of versatility and options that this vehicle will have once it does have that fitted. As well as if you're going on the expedition body side of things, you'd be able to have a much bigger body and you're really not limited to your living space and storage and all of that sort of thing. So moving along with the drivetrain, this one does have a UGE 100 gearbox. It is also specced with EAS, so your electronic auto shift. So being a manual gearbox, we've got that electronic controls over the top of it, but also a brand new thing that has just come out is in the 355 horsepower, we can get a completely automatic gearbox. So that's very nice. Obviously there's a lot of advantages to that. We have very limited information on that at this stage, but we can definitely, if you're interested in that, we can definitely get it for you. We can then spec the gearbox to have an additional working group and also crawler group range. So there is definitely advantages to working group for most people in their applications. And then crawler group, it's really something that you're just going to be doing if you've got agriculture, where you want to go really, really slow and the vehicle can just essentially run itself. And then we've got our hydraulic options on top of that. So they not really go hand in hand, but kind of when we're talking about our slow gearing with our hydraulics, we also have what's called hydrostatic drive. So that is like the pinnacle of hydraulics, just allowing you to have the engine and gearbox doing one thing while your implement is running at a whole different set of revs and all of that stuff. With our more basic hydraulics, these vehicles can be spec'd with basic hydraulics, working hydraulics, or power hydraulics. Essentially, any task that you can throw at this one, chances are it's already doing it over in Europe. So we can definitely help you out, see if there's already an option on the market or if there's something that we can design bespoke for your needs. And then onto the more generic Unimog features. So this one has coils all round. It also has your portal axles. So as much as, yes, it's not as off-road capable and doesn't have as much clearance as the UGE Unimog, there's not really many other vehicles of this caliber, size, whatnot, that you are going to get the clearance of this vehicle. So you do have great advantages in that. Being able to, if you're a commercial user, being able to get further than most other vehicles and most other providers is a great advantage. So before we move on to the cab, I always forget to talk about the wheels and tyres, because I see so many big wheels and tyres here every day. It just kind of, but I just need to remember that that is not something that you get on other vehicles. So these ones are 395/85 R20 tyres. They are straight from the factory. They've got your internal bead lock. So that is all nice and really set up, as well as like your solid axle, all of the stuff that comes hand in hand with those. And that obviously has quite a lot of advantages in and of itself. This one being the bigger truck, it's got the 395s, the 219 and the 430 Unimog. They come with the 365s. Still very large tyre, but it just depends on what vehicle you're speccing and what you're wanting. Now onto the cab, there are a lot of features of the cab which are going to be better shown when we're actually in the cab. One being the panoramic cab. So we do have our low cut windows that allows for really easy visibility down to your blind spots. And then we've obviously got one hell of a windscreen there. We say the UHE is like sitting in front of a 70-inch plasma screen. This is like being at the cinemas or having a 120-inch plasma screen at home. So you can see a hell of a lot more, and it is really good. That is obviously a huge benefit when you've got your implements. So you've got a big implement out the front here. You're wanting to make sure that's doing what it needs to be doing and having control over that. The cabs themselves are actually a fibre composite cab, so they are lightweight and they are anti-corrosion, which is a good feature. And then from the factory, we are now, as standard, every single UGE Unimog is coming with your cab protection, and that's got your built-in sun visor, obviously some clearance lights, all of that up there, just absolutely stock standard, don't have to do anything aftermarket. So the UGE Unimog, as much as this one doesn't actually have any towing apparatus back here, we'll tow with our imagination at this point, but the vehicle itself is definitely capable of towing very large amounts. So like your 20 plus ton, depending on obviously what we spec on the back of here. A pin tool hook, a Heyman Reef style receiver, a gooseneck, it really just depends on what your needs are. It is spec'd with your ABS for your trailers, and then also you've got your air brakes. So you've got those here for the trailer. The GVM of these vehicles, obviously it does vary quite dramatically, so I won't go through every single one for all of the different models of the UGE, but we can get up to a 16.5 ton GVM from the factory on the 530. So as much as you can't go up to that 16.5 ton on Australian roads, it at least gives you that peace of mind that the vehicle itself is more than capable of doing more than that 12.7 ton. It also means that if you're on private property, you are completely covered and warranted up to that 16.5 ton as well. As I said, it varies with the different models that you choose, but when we do discuss what your needs and wants are for the build, that's something that we'll have a chat about. So the first thing that you notice when you jump in the UGE cab is your visibility. As we said, the windscreen's really big. You've got the additional windscreen going all the way down so you can see your blind spot and you can see whatever implements you've got going on. Further enhance that, we can actually get a mowing door as well. So that means that this door is outset, I guess you could call it, further, so then you're sitting further out over the tyre and you can see your verge mower or whatever implement you've got out there, which is really nice. So the cab is an ergonomic design, so when we are using these for commercial aspects, you are driving them pretty much all day. So driver and passenger comfort is key, and if you are using it as a recreational vehicle, obviously that's key. Maybe even more so because it is then owner operated rather than just employees. The great thing about the UHE and the UGE Unimog, whilst they are quite different, they do have all of their buttons being exactly the same, the functionality of the buttons are the exact same, they're just in slightly different locations. So majority of your controls are down here, allowing us to have the Vario pilot, which we'll talk about later, but your dash, your steering wheel controls, all of that is the exact same. So when it comes to driver training or upgrading your vehicle, anything like that, switching between vehicles, you do just have one set of driver training. It's not a whole different vehicle and a whole different brand and all different quirks that come with different brands. So that is really, really nice. So with our controls in the center, they are very similar to that of the UHE. So we've got our central tire inflation, so that's available in our larger of the UGE range, so from the 430, 530 and so on. It's not available in the 219 and the smaller options. Then we've got our air conditioning as standard, and then this one just has your working group. All of this space is left very free because this specific truck only has your PTO, whereas this is all available for when we're doing our different hydraulic options. We then can also get our multifunction joystick, and that is controlling all of your hydraulics when you're at the higher end of the hydraulics, and you've got all of your functionality within the joystick. So unlike the UHE, which is in constant 2-wheel drive, and then you switch over to 4-wheel drive, then your diff lock options, this one's constantly in 4-wheel drive, but then you do have your independent activation of your front and rear diff locks, and that is all air activated. So in here we do have our driver and passenger air ride seats as well. So once again, that driver and passenger comfort is key. Obviously, if you're doing lots of hours, lots of kilometers, you do want to be in comfort. And then one of the absolute best features about the UGE Unimog, and this is the only vehicle in the world that has this feature, so I should have spoken about it earlier, is Vario Pilot. So we can switch from right-hand drive steering to left-hand drive steering in less than 30 seconds, which is going to be a huge benefit. One, yes, for the municipality type things, so you can see where you are mowing if you are only one operator, but where we think it is the best option is going to be in our international travel. So as I said earlier, you're not limited to just right-hand drive countries, you also have left-hand drive countries, and it is literally just as easy as moving everything across, not having to change wiring, not having to do anything mechanical. It's very, very simple. So if all of these factory features aren't enough for you, I'll add one very, very big thing to that list. We can get rear steer on these Unimogs as from the factory, covered by warranty, not having to do any major modifications aftermarket, and therefore obviously hindering warranty on the vehicle. So that is really cool. Speaking of warranty, here in Australia we are covering up to that 3 years, 4,000 engine hour warranty. So everything is covered. And then as for our servicing, as I did mention in the UHE Unimog video, it is very minimal servicing. So we do have our intuitive servicing and our minimum maintenance servicing. So we've got our initial service on the portals, and then it is annually from there. And then if you haven't done many kilometers or hours, it will be your minimum maintenance. Otherwise, your filters and your sensors is going to let our technicians know what does need to be replaced. Therefore, you're only going to be paying for what actually needs to be done, not doing absolutely everything and then getting charged an arm and a leg at the end of the day. You are only getting charged for what is required to keep the vehicle up in a good condition. So like with all Unimogs, the versatility of them is the best thing. With these ones especially, our implements can all just be sitting there ready to go. You can essentially use the exact same vehicle for a multitude of different implements. So you don't have one expensive vehicle just sitting there waiting for the snow season to come so you can use that specific snow vehicle. You can change that out, use it for your agricultural, change that out again, use it for your tunnel washing, solar panels, whatever it is, the vehicle can be used all year round, rather than a lot of vehicles are just built to spec. It's too difficult to change what that spec is, and it's just going to sit in the corner and collect dust until that specific need is required. So that's the best part about the Unimogs, just being able to use them for all of their intended purposes. If you do have any questions on the UGE Unimog from the little baby 219 all the way up to the 535, let us know. Send us an email. I can answer any questions, send through technical information, all of that stuff. Otherwise, I think it's all pretty clear now that if you have any task, chances are the Unimog can do it. So get in contact.